Hey guys, and welcome to my channel again. Today I'm going to talk about why monogamy sometimes fails. The another thing that nobody wants to talk about. But I'm actually very eager to talk about this subject because it has been in my mind. Relationships have been the subject of my exploration almost ever since I remember. Like, I've spent most of my childhood looking at my parents and wondering why doesn't their relationship work? Why aren't they happy with each other? What's the problem? Because looking at them, they were actually compatible. Like, they were fine. They should have been able to make their relationship work, but they didn't. And throughout my psychology school, throughout my therapies, and I went to a lot of group therapies, I've actually realized why relationships fail. And I want to share this knowledge with you. First thing, in order to really bond with someone, you first need to feel free. Because how can you bond with someone if you are not coming from the state of freedom to bond? I know it sounds a bit complicated, but when we look at things, if you're coming from the family where you weren't allowed to be whatever you wanted to be, and then you encounter another person, and from this state of imprisonment you go to another state of imprisonment, because obviously you are not coming into the relationship by what you are, but you're bringing yourself with who you should be, and this relationship of course won't work. The other thing is what we do. So when we're children, we are taught about what is acceptable and what's not acceptable in relation with another human being. And when we meet a person that we like, we are trying to present our best self to that person in order for that person to love us, to fall in love with us. And sometimes our best self is not our entire self. So it feels like, okay, if I'm bringing only my right hand into the relationship and I'm doing this with the rest of myself, so I'm bringing this, but I'm hiding that behind my back, which works perfectly for a couple of years. And then after a while, because you are born into this world wanting to be complete, you get this urgency to show this part of yourself. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes your partner is like, no, I didn't sign up for this. No, when I married you or when I started dating you, you only had this and I'm fine with this and this is all I wanted. And sometimes the partner is willing to explore that part of you. Usually what we leave behind is our sexuality, because naughty girl, naughty boy, you shouldn't be feeling, wanting, touching that. So basically what happens, people either, there's three options what people usually do in relationships. Number one, they cheat. Because once upon a time, I was talking with my psychologist, and he told me this very curious story, that before, men usually went to see a prostitute because you cannot have sex with your wife the way you can have sex with a prostitute, because this is the mother of your children that's gonna kiss your children goodnight, and this is a hooker who you can do whatever you want with. They cannot be one person. So a lot of men and a lot of women cheat on their partners, and they kind of feel not guilty for it, because you see, this part of me is in love and in relationship with my wife, but this part of me needs someone too. So they continue living their split personality, and they they cheat on their wives and satisfied the dark shadow part of themselves with another person. There is also option number 2, as I know it sounds horrible, but it's the least healthy option. It's the option where we pretend for the rest of our lives that this part of ourselves doesn't exist. And honestly, the problem is with the shadow that it doesn't necessarily hide anything ugly, or it doesn't necessarily hide only bad things. It hides a lot of good things as well. So for example, this part, like the hidden part, the bad part, may be very kinky, maybe whatever, but it can be very, I don't know, dominant, very, you know, that part of you can have a lot of good qualities that you kind of give up because you need to only be this. And this kind of destroys your life. And there's a lot of illnesses that also develop from this because the universe or God or higher self, call it the way you want to, I don't care, has this life purpose for you to be complete. And there is also an option number 3. And this is the road that rarely anyone takes, but there's more and more people in this world that are taking it. And what they do is do a lot of self-exploration and kind of get to the terms of what are the parts of me and what every part of me needs, and how can I fulfill all that and be a complete and a happy human being, and how can I help my partner become the same person, happy, fulfilled, complete, and free, in order to pick me for its partner. And I'm gonna tell you now why monogamy fails a lot of times. Because the way that monogamy fails is at your wedding, at your wedding vows, you promise that you're gonna be with that person whatever happens until the rest of your life, and to be faithful and blah 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 blah. Okay, 20 years after, are you the same person that married that man or woman? You might not be, but the way world functions is that it's forcing you to be that same person. So life or your personal growth can go just in the one road, and you are not allowed to change your mind any day. And most of the time, people get married for selfish reasons. It's a weird subject to talk about. People do marry for selfish reasons, and they marry in order for the other person to give them something. But they don't realize that once you've signed the papers, you are not just only responsible for your own happiness, but for that other person's happiness. And sometimes, maybe, you are not able to give your partner everything that that person wants. How are you gonna accept that? They're gonna feel really bad about it. It's like something's wrong with them. But honestly, it's a matter if you have a bowl of oranges and someone wants an apple, how are you gonna give them an apple if you only have oranges? Monogamy says, I only have oranges, but you're gonna have to learn to love oranges, although your personal passion is apples. I do believe in monogamy, don't get me wrong. I think it's quite possible, and it's still the thing that most of the humans on the planet want. And I don't blame them. It's lovely to have a person only for yourself and to be the only person to your partner. But the thing is, for the most of the relationship, this lovely feeling of fluffiness lasts for maybe a few years and then it just disappears. And the reason why that happens is because when you meet a person, you're coming in from the state of need and you see in that person what you're lacking, and that's how you fall in love. And that person also looks at you and sees something that he or she is missing and she wants that from you. And sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes that person doesn't even have anything close to what we need. And sometimes that person is not willing to give us that. And would you stay in that kind of a marriage only because you signed the papers? I hope you wouldn't. And on the other side, I also hope, because you chose that person, that you're going to put an effort to make this relationship work. Monogamy, it's a very strict thing, and if you want someone to love you, you do know that old saying it says, if you love something, set it free. It's not to set it free because you want to get rid of it. I know a lot of people that have the same, I'm going to talk about them, the people that don't need anyone and that are kind of freeing everybody. I'm going to talk about why polyamory fails as well. It's the people that kind of have a lot of partners but they have issue with connecting really with people. That's another pair of socks. But the reason why we say if you love something, set it free, it's because if that person is free and it still comes back to you, that means that that person probably loves you. But if you're keeping someone trapped, there's a chance that that person will do anything just to be free. A bit of coffee helps with these hard subjects, isn't it? I was watching the marriage of my parents, and it was a marriage with someone with a very high sex drive and someone with a really low sex drive. And the thing is, like, that marriage could have worked if they both put an effort into it. But sometimes you need to decide. I think the first rule of monogamy is, am I willing to put an effort into this relationship to work? Am I willing to compromise on certain things, and am I willing to work on my partner's needs and my own, and is he willing to work on my needs, and are we gonna try to make this happen? Is this the person I really want in my life? I know a lot of marriages that kind of started out of the fear of loneliness, and there's a lot of people that kind of decide to marry someone because they're old already, so you know, like, or maybe they feel kind of just want someone because they feel lonely, and there's a lot of wrong reasons to form a marriage, and these people are gonna try to trap you because they don't really love you, they just need you. And one of the reasons why they love monogamy so much is because they can own you. And God knows, I had a share of relationships from which I escaped so fast like that, where a person after a month would say, I want to marry you, and I was like, you don't know me. Like, you know nothing about me. Jesus, the wind gonna blow my house out. So it was very funny. I was like, I don't know you, you don't know me. Like, my parents always had this quote that before you marry someone, you should eat together, well, not in the same moment, but throughout the lunches and everything, a kilo of salt. After you ate a kilo of salt with someone, you can actually get to know him. So a year. And you can straight away see if you're compatible or not. And if you're not willing to invest the time in your self-development, if you're not willing to invest the time in kind of making yourself a better person, monogamy is going to be a way to trap someone and make that person kind of take care of your needs, and in a bad way. And I see a lot of relationships like that. And for me, that's a prison. Not monogamy as it is, but that kind of monogamy, that's a prison, and I want no part in it. I remember when I was a teenage girl, like most of my friends dreamt about marriage, and I was like, no, thank you. If it happens, that's great, but if it doesn't, I'd rather be alone than with a partner that doesn't fulfill me, and a partner that's not willing to invest some time and energy in me. And I'd be the same. If I'm your partner, I'm gonna take care of your well-being, whatever that well-being means. And I will be there with you up to my personal limit, of course, but I will do my best to be there for you and to support you in whatever you want to do in your life. Because I do care about you as a person, not just you as a tool of making something, doing something for me. I think monogamy should be redefined, and maybe it's not for everyone. There's a lot of polyamory movements at the moment, and some of them really suck, to be honest with you. There's a lot of people that find different kinds of theories only to escape from themselves even better. But for some people, being free and choosing your partners and even getting love from a lot of different partners is the way. And they shouldn't be ashamed of it, and they should just embrace. You should just embrace whatever the fuck you are. Because if you don't do that, no one's gonna do that for you. And guys, if you're in any kind of relationships, please take care of yourselves and your partners and try to make the most of it. And I wish you a good day, and please do subscribe to my channel if you like it, and I'll see you next week.